questions, send them in. We'll try to get to what we can. But this is really how I create my live chats, is by knowing what's on your mind. So make sure you're either sending them to me on my page or even private message me your questions. I won't say your name. I'm not going to divulge anything you don't want me to. But then we can turn around and create a live chat for you and talk about it and go into some depth and bring this up. And we have a little more time this way because the classes are pretty structured and we can only go through things quickly.
Right.
So
yeah, and please send us your questions right now in our live chat, and we'll try to answer them as best as we can.
We'll do the best we can. So, all right, Nat, what do we got?
Okay. First question. This is a pretty routine question. We get this a lot. What should I be looking for in a protein powder?
Okay, so I'm biased. I'm just going to be honest. There's a reason I came up with the protein powder that I came up with. We used our chief scientist, who is very well known in the supplement industry, because I wanted something ultra clean. With all of my issues with my gut, that's why I created what I created. So I'm going to say, of course, I think mine is one of the best, but it really is clean. So we created one that is plant-based, which is one of the things you should be looking for. Plant-based protein powders. Whey protein powders, the problem is a lot of people have trouble digesting the milk proteins. So we just know that that's not really an issue with some of the plant-based proteins. Plant-based protein powder, in our case, we deal with a lot of vegans and also athletes, okay? And even if you're not, this won't hurt you, but if you are, it's really helpful. We put branched chain amino acids. So it's got all the branched chain amino acids. Digestive enzymes, really helpful. Also, it's got prebiotics to help feed the good bugs in your gut. So prebiotics, so it's got things like inulin in there. What have I gone through? So it's high quality protein, plant-based. It's got branched chain amino acids, prebiotics, and digestive enzymes. So it's also super clean. So that's why I recommend the one that we have. So I'm biased.
And I think for me, when I first started out, I was like, protein powder, what do I eat with that? So I think another question we get a lot is, okay, so I got this protein powder, I love it, but what do I make with it?
Yeah, so interesting. Actually, a ton of stuff. So besides the smoothies, like in my new cookbook, I have a whole bunch of smoothie recipes, but I also have things for like chia seed pudding, which is 3 ingredients. You just mix it really quick.
Yeah.
Or avocado pudding, like an avocado gelato type pudding, where it's avocado and cacao and protein powder. Awesome.
Yeah.
There's lots of creative things you can do with it that are really simple. They're fast recipe protein bars. You can make your own homemade protein bars.
Those are so delicious.
Right. So there's lots of things you can do that are healthy snacks for your kids too. So yeah, lots of fun ideas.
Awesome. Okay, next question. Would you address healthy habits while breastfeeding?
Yes. So really, there's there's this idea that we have to change everything when you're breastfeeding. The truth is, you should have changed it a long time before that. Okay. So I'm just going to be honest. It's really funny to me how, we get this idea that breastfeeding is different. It's not. You really should be focusing on, and most women are, focused on eating really healthy when they're pregnant.
Right.
That's really what you need to do when you are breastfeeding. Now, your calorie consumption, your metabolism is higher when you're breastfeeding than normal. So really, you should be eating about the same way, and our program is designed to be 70-30, so 70% plant-based foods, 30% high-quality protein, and lots of healthy fat. That's perfect for someone breastfeeding. It's just that you may need more calories. But here's the big focus. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't really realize. So do you know the fastest way to decrease your toxic load? So toxic load meaning the things that you absorb from the environment.
Right.
The toxins you get from all of the, plastics and sprays and things like that. The fastest way for you to unload your toxic load is to breastfeed.
That's interesting.
That's really
I didn't
scary,
know that.
right? So that's a scary thought. So what that means is that if you are holding on to a whole bunch of toxins, when you breastfeed, you're going to release that into the baby. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't breastfeed. It just means that you should, what they're doing now, there's this whole area of medicine called preconception medicine where they actually help women to really prepare their bodies to do the right thing, when you're pregnant and when you're breastfeeding as well, so that you don't do that. And so what we really want you to think about is eat clean. Okay, so when you're breastfeeding, eat clean and try to limit your exposure to toxic, the environment, to environmental toxins.
Okay, next question from Facebook.
Oh, and vitamins. Don't stop your prenatal vitamins. So
good advice. From Facebook, from BrainMD, do you have a multivitamin?
Can you actually see that
package for age
Lord.
10?
Must be nice to be young. What was that?
From BrainMD, do you have a multivitamin package for age 10? We are actually, I think,
Seriously.
Um,
Oh, sorry, we almost lost you. Okay.
We actually are coming out with a chewable multivitamin for kids.
So we don't have the packet that has extra stuff besides the multi for kids, but the multi is really pretty complete with the exception that it does not contain the fish oil and the vitamin D and all of that.
Right.
Because it's a little different. We don't know what's going on with your kid, but we do recommend that kids take fish oil. But not all kids want pills, and that's why we can't put it in a packet.
Right.
So we do want them to take a little extra vitamin D, usually some fish oil, sometimes probiotics is a really good idea. My daughter takes all of those, and then depends on their brain type. So depends on what's going on with your kid. But it's really hard to put those in a packet because some kids need liquid, and we're not quite sure what's going on with your kid. So,
right.
But our multi is really good, the new multi-chewable.
Yeah, the new chewable is really delicious.
Yeah, actually, Daniel's like,
I wanted to.
I know, I got into him, and I'm like, he's like, they're not candy. I'm like, well, they kind of taste like
He
it.
gave me one, and I said, can I have another?
I know, but they're sugar-free, so.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Can you overwhelm your system with too many supplements?
You can, especially if you are not taking ones that are right for you. Okay, so, for example, I was going through something. I was tested, and it turned out that I was it was not processing some stuff. I'm not going to get into the whole thing because it's like long for Facebook. But so I needed some stuff to help me detoxify my body. But I was given the wrong dose, and apparently they didn't tell me to stop taking it after a couple weeks. And all of a sudden, I started like waking up, like getting really sick in the middle of the night. So yes, you actually can. So you don't want to just assume that they don't do anything, because
right.
they do. And you want to know that you're taking the right stuff for your system and what's going on. Don't be taking extra things if you know that your numbers are good. You don't want to take what you don't need.
It's important. Really important. Next question. My whole family has been sick for 2 weeks. Looking at my kids' medicine, I realize they are all loaded with sugar and red dye number 40. I think red dye number 40 is, we can make another talk about this. I mean, there's so much to talk about this, but what alternatives do you suggest to cure a cold?
So they're usually alternatives. There usually are the same medicines with alternatives without dye. So most companies now are making medications without dye in them because so many kids are allergic to the dye, or we know they're bad for your brain. They're bad for symptoms of ADD. They're bad for all sorts of things. But a lot of kids are truly allergic to them. And because red dye is getting such a bad rap, they're starting to make things like Tylenol and Advil and cough syrups and things like that without the dye.
Right.
So I would just go look and ask the pharmacist if there is the same medication without the dye in it.
Okay. Next question from Facebook. What's the difference between prebiotics and probiotics?
So probiotics actually help to repopulate the good bugs in your gut. They actually help to give your gut those good bugs that have been killed off for whatever reason, because it's easy to damage them. The prebiotics feed the probiotics, okay? So a lot of times it's things like resistant starch. So green bananas are an example of a resistant starch. There's other, like inulin, which I put in our smoothie, in our protein powder. So that is an example of a prebiotic that you got to feed the bugs. So you got to take care of your pets. I often think of these pets and these bugs in your gut like a protection dog that I used to have. So it's like, I love this dog, and he's like my pet. I had to feed him, right? But he took care of me back. He's a protection dog.
Right.
Think of it like that.
This question, I think, could resonate with you the most. We're going to move on to anxiety now. What am I supposed to think if my parents don't lock the doors at night? How can I sleep in peace?
So I'm going to assume your parents are not crazy. Okay, so I grew up in a house like that where they didn't lock the doors. I have a lot of anxiety over things like that, so I'm kind of a security freak, so I feel your pain on that. I get it. I'm not sure. I don't know why your parents don't lock the door. I'd have to know. I mean, I'm assuming that means you live in a really safe neighborhood, and that's a good thing. So I'm happy for you that you live in a safe neighborhood. I would still want my doors locked, but I would try to have a conversation with them and tell them it's affecting your sleep. So maybe, or do they care if you go around the house and lock the doors because it's affecting your sleep? So I wouldn't be able to sleep if my doors were unlocked either. So
I'm the type of person that doesn't lock their doors.
Yeah, I would sit there and obsess that the doors were unlocked. So I get it, but I also think that probably your parents really do feel like you live in a safe place. That's going to be my assumption.
Right. Okay, moving back to diet. What do you recommend for breakfast item for my child with ADD?
protein and fat. So stay away from, if you've got ADD, stay away from simple carbs for breakfast. Stay away from things like, you know, the typical standard American diet of cereal, pancakes, waffles, muffins, bagels, donuts. That is like horrible. It's going to increase your, not only your symptoms of ADD, it's going to increase brain fog and make it difficult for you to focus during the day. But if you focus on healthy fat and protein for breakfast, it actually helps you to focus, stabilizes your blood sugar, and it's going to improve your ability to stay stable longer. So you won't have those highs and lows. So things like eggs or smoothies with protein powder, and you can put a little bit of berries, a little bit of fruit, but a lot of greens in it, and some healthy fat like coconut butter or coconut oil, some almond butter. Things like that are going to really help you to stay focused during the day.
Yeah, I think we all struggle with that at work, with those mid-morning crashes or mid-afternoon crashes.
Absolutely.
Our next question kind of rings around that topic. What do I do for mid-afternoon crashes? What do I eat?
Okay, so a couple things. Mid-afternoon crashes. So I would be asking, are you eating a snack during the day? Because that might be why you're crashing. But some people do feel a little dip during the day. And that might be, if you're eating a really high protein diet, some people who need some carbs in their diet, like if depending on your brain type, you might feel that dip during the day. You actually could have, that could be the one time you have a little bit of smart carbs, not the wrong carbs, but some smart carbs.
Right.
So you could have like a half of an apple with some almond butter would be a really good snack during the day. I still try to get my fat and protein, so some nuts for me, or nuts and berries will help to give me that boost. But I really like green tea as long as it's not too late. If it's too late, it'll keep me awake.
Yeah.
But if it's like not, if as long as it's before 3, green tea, because it doesn't have as much caffeine as coffee, but it's got theanine, so it increases your focus.
Right.
So you feel good without the jitters.
Right. You mentioned nuts. What is an example of some nuts that are brain healthy? Because I know we get a lot of questions regarding can I have peanuts? I know that was one of my first questions to you.
So I would avoid peanuts if you can. Peanuts they're actually not nuts, they're legumes. But they are not tree nuts. They grow, they're low to the ground, they grow up, they curve around, they droop, grow back into the ground, and they're really high in aflatoxin, and they actually have a whole bunch of different molds and toxins in them that are carcinogenic. So I would avoid those as much as you can. Does that mean never? It doesn't mean never. If I'm on an airplane and that's what they have, and it's like a long flight, and I run out of my snacks, yeah, I'm gonna have some peanuts.
Yeah.
But I try to avoid peanut butter as much as possible. But healthy nuts are tree nuts, which is most other nuts. So pecans, almonds, macadamia nuts, walnuts, they're all really great.
Awesome. A question from Facebook. What is the best way to nutritionally manage hot flashes? I know my mom struggles with this one.
I actually did. So what I'd like you to do, because this is a whole talk by itself. Not only do we have one of these sections on Brainware's Way Live, it was actually the funniest one we did by far.
It was.
We were laughing so hard we were crying. You might imagine why. My husband. Yeah. Anyways, so if you get a chance to watch Brain Warriors Way Live, week 20, week 20.
Yeah, I think week 20.
20 or 21 was on hormones. Watch that; it's free. That would be one. And then the other thing is I did a live chat. You can go back and look at my videos, my live chats, and I did one just on hormones, specifically to menopause and PMS.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So, but really quickly, things like black cohosh is supposed to be really good for it. Maca root powder is supposed to be really helpful. Dong Quai. So some things like that are really helpful.
This is a good one because I know a lot of us like to drink Perrier and LaCroix. What are your thoughts on sparkling water such as LaCroix, Perrier, and so on?
That's funny. I just did a chat today with Saddleback Church, and that was one of the questions with them too.
They're very popular
so that
right
is
now.
a very popular one. Here's what I think. I actually just got done finishing one myself. They're okay, but be careful how much. Okay, especially for women, because of the amount of acid in them.
Yeah.
So the phosphoric and the carbonic acid can be a little too much. So if you have, like, I might have a couple a week. I don't have 2 or 3 a day. Okay, so you don't want to do that because it's too much acid. And what will happen is it actually does, especially if you are prone to osteoporosis, that will cause problems. So you want to make sure you're getting enough regular water. One of the things I do to make regular water more interesting, but yeah, I do drink the sparkling water. I put a few drops of stevia in there, and that's fine. Just don't drink too much of it. But one thing I do to make regular water more interesting, I just smash up a couple of strawberries. I don't even like take the time to slice them. I just smash them up. Or I smash up some blueberries.
Yeah.
Throw them in some water, cut up a couple cucumber slices, and throw some mint in it. And it's so yummy.
Yeah, I know. It really makes you feel like you're at the spa.
It's delicious.
I love spa water.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Okay, so our last question. What is a good natural beverage or snack to enhance sleep and reduce anxiety before bed?
So a snack to enhance sleep and reduce anxiety. This is where you don't want to have a something high protein. First of all, if you can, try not to have something just before bed. So we really like the idea of, if it's possible, if you can do a 12-hour fast.
Yeah.
12-hour fasts are really good for you. So if you know you're going to have breakfast at 7, try to stop eating at 7 at night. Now, I know for me, sometimes that doesn't really work. I actually would rather eat a little later and then skip and not eat in the morning when I first wake up.
Right.
That's usually what I actually do.
Yeah.
So I just, for whatever reason, I like a snack, later in the evening. So I focus on the healthy fats. I'll make something with avocado. So that's where I'll focus on things like my avocado gelato or
Avocado egg.
right, or I do my nutty butter cups or something like that are high fat, but they're satisfying and they are healthy.
Right.
And you're going to feel full, and they're just like a comfort type thing.
Right.
And you don't need as much of it to feel satisfied. And that usually is a really good thing to have, or a few nuts, a handful of nuts.
Yeah, I know. Those are really, I mean, I when I first started here, I wasn't a big nut person, but I mean, when you're on the go and you're busy, they're very satisfying.
Yeah.
So satisfying.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we got today.
All right.